what was the catalyst to making your life easier as you're building these systems out?
Once you start getting things written down, and you can, when somebody's not doing what they're supposed to, you can take them back to that and say, here's what you need to do.
Welcome back to Movified. I'm your host, Mark Hirschi, owner of Salmon's Moving and Storage, located in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. And welcome to Movified Wednesdays. I am always jazzed to get to have the opportunity to sit down with my good friend, Stephen Reed from Ready Rolls, Big League Movers out in Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis.
Making easy money. I can't say the rest. It's a family show. I can't say the rest, but making easy money, blank is serious, is how we live.
I feel that my wife would have such a blast hanging out with you and Brian Slater and some old school like rap music or some kind of crazy stuff. I don't follow the lyrics. It doesn't make sense to me.
How many kids do you think listen to us that are disappointed in me right now?
Yeah, that you didn't finish off the words.
Subscribe, kids. So hit the subscribe button.
Well, look, we're quite blessed today. I'm excited to sit down with a friend of ours, Zane Ponsetti from Wildcat Movers. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, Zane. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Where are you right now, Zane? Are Wildcat Movers from Dallas, Texas, but where are you right now? Are you in Dallas?
No, I'm actually in Buena Vista, Colorado right now. I'm visiting my family lives here. But yeah, just up from where I live down in Durango, Colorado.
When I met Zane, OG Titan, shout out guys, but I met Zane maybe 6 years ago. Always helpful, always takes a call, always trying to educate on what he's learned. Very humble about what he doesn't know. And then the next time you see him and you educate him on something about it, he'll be the expert with you next time you go around and you can learn from him. So I have a lot of respect for Zane. I appreciate him in my career. He always takes my call when I need him. And I'm excited to have him on the show. So thank you very much, Zane, for coming on with us.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm blushing over here, and I've learned a lot from you as well, and seeing your operation. What was that? Probably a little over a year ago, right?
Yeah. You came and got a truck. You came and got a truck in Memphis.
Yeah. I was driving through Memphis from Nashville from Allvan. But yeah, your operation's great too, man. I learned a lot, and your people were great too. Steven's got a great team there in Memphis.
But Zane introduced himself to me as the Nomad Mover.
I love it.
It was after a few drinks. But that stood out to me, the Nomad Mover. So I had a lot more questions, and I think we'll kind of go into that a little later on the podcast. But
well, I kind of want to jump right back into the history because I want people to really have an understanding of what just happened. You need to understand you have built your business, you have accomplished hopefully several goals within a period of years, months, days of owning your business. And this should really go for anybody. If you have the systems in place, if you have the right people in place, you are getting a response like Zane is saying, I live in Colorado. I take a 2-hour flight if I need to go to Dallas. Other than that, I'm a remote president of the company that can maintain and function the company on a day-to-day basis without having to be in the office every single day. But it didn't really start there. It didn't just happen overnight.
Right.
So can you give us like a rewind of the clock? Let's go back to the future of, those times or the first time where you've met Stephen, at the old Louis Massaro retreats and conferences, like that old Zane that is trying to grow Wildcat. And before I even finish, if you haven't looked up their website, take a look. I always admire their logo and like the style and the brand of Wildcat all the time. It always stood out to me the first time I met Zane. So, but anyways, give us a little bit of history. Like, how does that start?
We'll snap a photo of Wildcats, one of their trucks while we're in here.
Yeah, I want to know from the beginning, like what month were you born? How was your childhood? Like, how were you in school? I mean, I don't think you dream about becoming a mover.
Weren't you like 15 or 16? I mean, he's a mover boy wonder, I think, if I remember right. Is that right, Zane?
Yeah, my first step into the moving industry, my buddy Kyle in high school got me a job at a moving company in our hometown, Marlin Movers. And I hope they're still around.
Shout out Marlon.
But it was just a one trailer, one pickup truck guy, and he would drive us around. And I was 16. And, I probably should have learned a little bit more about, professional moving, but they were really just paying me to lump stuff in and out. And then when I was in college, I, one summer was kind of having trouble getting a job, and I had a few $1,000 saved up. So I bought a little 16-foot trailer. I was hustling around, printing these little, 3x2 flyers or something, whatever, quarter page flyers. And I think I was doing $125 flat rate, one bedroom, something like that. And had a little ad in the paper. And yeah, we grew that College Station branch up to, we run like 3 trucks in the summer and maybe 1 truck the rest of the year. And I wanted to go try it in a bigger market. So a mover of mine wanted to move to Dallas, so we went up there, and I didn't really know much about the market or the city or anything besides just making deliveries up there all the time. And yeah, so we started that branch up, and I definitely did not have the skills at that time. I was 25 years old with 2 branches. Was not managing either one well. The College Station thing was not. I was driving down there probably every couple of weeks. It was like 4 hours away, and things were pick up in Dallas pretty quick. And so I think we did that for a couple, 2 or 3 years, and then we ended up closing the College Station branch. And we just took off from there. Once I was able to stay in and focus. And I mean, that was when we had, I think we moved the truck up. So we had 3 trucks in Dallas. And shortly after that, I hired my first salesperson. He's still today, Daniel Massey.
Shout out Daniel. What's up?
And so, yeah, that was my first kind of realization of, giving people responsibility, because it was really scary. I wasn't making that much. And so I was like, man, I can't even afford to pay this guy, 35, 40 grand. That's going to be most of my income. But then once I brought him on, and it started becoming obvious to me that was going to allow me to continue to scale, because with him, we could do like twice as much revenue with him doing sales and me doing ops. And so then shortly after that, I hired an ops manager.
So was it year, just to back up, Zane, what year was that when you were not on the trucks at all?
Before we ever started using a moving CRM, someone asked me, could you 10X what you're doing right now with the current systems and processes you have in place? And I said no. And so he was like, well, then you need to just pull the trigger on the software. And then I saw Smart Moving, and it was game over.
Austin joined thousands of moving owners on Smart Moving in 2021. Since then, he's more than doubled his business.
And I always compare Smart Moving to Apple products. It's just so simple, so easy to use, and that's really what's allowed my team to scale and now have 2 branches. And last year we scaled Central Coast Moving over 50% growth.
If you're ready to turn your moving company into a machine that drives profit, not chaos, try Smart Moving.
So I was on the trucks full time for about 4 or 5 years. And then I was on and off of the trucks for another, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. So when I moved to Dallas with one of my movers, we were booking moves and right back on the truck. So I had multiple trucks going in College Station, but I didn't have the guys and the backups to get off the trucks. And so I was back on and off again for a while. And
that's where it happened. Mark, that's it. That's Zane's. I gotta figure this out. Is he has a conflict with being remote. He failed being remote there at the beginning, and he's got to beat it now. And that's how he became the nomad mover. That's it right there.
And listening to Zane, there's 2 things that raise, the eyebrows. It's a lot of us, when we're getting going, we have this idea, hey, listen, I see it really busy and popular in this other city, this other area. Maybe we can get 1 or 2 trucks over there. We can have that division set up, and no problem. You know what? It's simple. I can totally do this. I can totally make it remote. I have a couple good drivers and crew there. I'll self-manage it over there, and it typically fails. And especially even when you backtrack, 6, 8, 10 years ago, the technology of the camera systems, having, the Bluetooth, having the phones, the 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 opportunity of where we are now to work remotely, especially after COVID, has grown and increased by like 500%, if not more, compared to back then. So there's that difficult method. And then also when you're talking about, and I know this raises a lot for those that are listening, it's, hey, I really want to hire that salesperson, or I really need to hire someone to dispatch because I'm maybe stronger at sales, but I'm only paying myself, this amount a year. I'm trying to keep myself on budget. Now, if I pay that guy or that girl this much, how am I supposed to pay myself that much? We don't have enough money in the bank. How do I make this work? And you have these sleepless nights of, the failure to launch, right? That failure to just jump off and go exactly what you said. If I bring this person on, I actually could double my sales. I actually could grow the business a lot faster. You just have to take that jump. Would you agree with that, Zane?
I agree 100%. I would say the one caveat to that, or the addition to that, is just you can operate cheaper without the overhead staff. And so just be aware when you add those people, you're going to have to add a little margin in there, most likely.
They got to have ROI, right?
Yep.
So if you looked at yourself today and how technology is, just like a rocket ship, especially in 2025, especially with AI voice agents. We've talked about this a lot on the show. You have the chatbots, you have the virtual assistants, shout out to Ready Rolls to help you out on that. And
ReadyRolls.com, people. Check us out. It's ROLES.
when you have all of this available, if you looked back at your operation, had to start today, what would you do differently, as in a sense of like organizational wise? Like, how would you start that business again, knowing that you would have all these tools available?
Are you a mover looking to make an impact? Discover Moving Letters AI and join the ML Plus Club today. Elevate your customer engagement with the personal touch of handwritten letters.
If you want to take your company to that next level, it's the only way to subscribe. If you're doing anything but Moving Letters AI, you need to get on it. So it's going to take your business to that next level. You're going to see an increase in that revenue. Let's go.
I highly recommend using this company. They're amazing to work with. They even send you an email on how much work they're producing for you.
Don't miss out. Join the revolution and start making moves that matter.
Put a golden damn ticket in there with Moving Letters AI.
Hold on, Mark. I got to dissect that a little bit. Are you saying he can go back in time and bring the future?
Yes.
Like he can bring technology now to where he was?
He has taken the sports almanac and he is like about to, hit the jackpot.
Marty McFly.
I don't know why there's all these Back to Future references.
I thought you were talking 2007 because I was like, we were phone books back then. There wasn't a lot of technology back then.
Oh, I know.
Some of us still had we had a photo ad in the phone book. Zane's one of them.
Definitely a CRM is a no-brainer. We use Smart Moving. That's, you've got to keep your leads organized and your discipline. That would be first and foremost.
I was trying to let Zane finish the sentence before saying thank you, and that's brought to you by Smart Moving.
It's a hype moment. I got to jump on a hype moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep going, Zane. He just keeps interrupting you, so just keep going.
That's what I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think Samsara, from an operations standpoint, is you just can't not have it. Like, be able to know where your trucks are. I mean, it wasn't that long ago we were seeing start times on paper and being like, it shouldn't have taken you that long, and we're having to go follow trucks and see if guys are doing extracurriculars, next to the gas station. That's why it was taking so long, and so I think Samsara is just
Milburn Printing.
yep, and I think that's huge. I mean, I think SEM Rush is huge for me, and Google Analytics. I think website tracking is one of, if not the most underutilized tools out there right now. Even if you're not doing SEO yourself, knowing your numbers and your metrics and growing your leads is just it's the biggest part of my success, I think. but I wouldn't say it's the most important tool, but once you get things rolling, you need to know and understand and analyze that stuff. Then I would say Ring Central, recording your calls, being able to, have a VoIP that, there's other good VoIPs out there. I think,
Trust your staff.
yeah. And accountability and training. I mean, somebody might think they're doing a great job. They're not trying to not follow your process, but you go back and you listen to a bunch of their calls and you're like, hey, it actually,
Yeah. Ring Central's a huge deal.
Ring Central, dial pad, having that type of VoIP system in place that can record the calls is also huge.
If you're considering Snowball, just do it.
Snowball creates done-for-you referral programs for moving companies so you can turn happy customers into new revenue without lifting a finger. And the results speak for themselves.
In less than a year, we've collected over 2,000 referrals.
We generated over $200,000 of revenue that cost about $5,000 to do it.
I believe we have 4 or 5 the very first day.
The companies winning with Snowball are the ones that already care about their customers. We just help turn that into new business through human outreach and customer nurturing.
Snowball is part of the arsenal of tools that I recommend to my clients because it works.
Yeah, going back 2008, that would be huge. I bet you it was like just starting at that point. The VoIP systems, I believe.
yeah, the last thing that comes to mind is we use Live Switch as well. And as a remote owner, that's also huge. So we don't really do in-home estimates. We do pretty much exclusively virtual estimates. So being able to see that sales process start to finish all within Smart Moving, not trying to plug them, but that is what we use.
We got to plug. We got to plug everybody. Are they a sponsor?
They are a sponsor.
No, but Live Switch is a huge for my company as well. See, I get in the sponsor zone. I do the
That's
plug
right.
right there, Zane. But Live Switch, not even sponsor or not, I was gonna say, like, I use them for so much more than the virtual surveys. Like, our staffs use them, pre-existing damages, different things. I called Michael and I said, "How's everybody using this stuff? Like, give me the most creative."
We love you. We love you utilizing Live Switch, and we have it so that the guys in the truck actually have QR codes on the trucks, like inside on the dashboard. And so if there is a damage, they can just quickly go ahead and scan it, and it'll bring them almost to like a claims page so that they can take any kind of video, they can take any kind of photos, and then it just uploads right into the cloud. So my dispatcher or like claims side it can see this right then on the spot. Because we always found the biggest problem is you have guys that take photos, oh, there's a damage or something happened, and then it's like they got to bring their phone back to the office and someone's going to text here, and we're just like, we just want to keep it up in like a cloud. Like, let's keep it all centralized, at least for us in our office. So in a round circle, Zane, with all of the interruptions by Mr. Reed, we got to make sure those are all accounted for. At least 20. He's at like 8.
Can we? I'm on a roll today.
Really, the strong points are CRM, right? Have a really good cloud-based CRM system. Utilizing a VoIP system like Ring Central. Having a tracking system on your trucks, whether you're using Samsara, Geotab, there's plenty of those softwares out there. We use Samsara. I love Samsara. I find it very easy and simplistic for office staff, dispatchers, everybody, and for myself to track my trucks. So definitely, if you haven't checked them out, I would highly recommend doing a demo.
Save my butt. I think we talked about that. Save my butt.
Anybody that's on the fence thinking about whether they should use it or not, if they have harsh events where your ops team can go in and review things that don't look right, and that coaching that we've been able to provide to our drivers has definitely lowered our claims. And it has also allowed us to remove some drivers that were, like, just based on the way they were driving, they're inevitably going to cause a huge damage. So if you're on the fence about it, I think,
like abusing the trucks,
like a bat out of hell on a moving truck,
I think you can't afford to not have Samsara. It's that crucial of a tool for a moving company, in my opinion.
It is. It saves my butt. I mean, I had a horrible accident one time and nothing happened because of that dash cam. The dash cam actually proved we saved the guy's life by some actions we took. So if that's not an endorsement, I don't know what is. I use Motive. From my understanding, it's the same thing. Price war. you know.
That was one of the other ones I was thinking about as well, too, is motive as well. Zane, so from there, when you grow, when you're at this point now, right? So let's get up to, so you started the company. When did you first start the company? What year?
2007.
2007. All right. Okay. So that was Steven's reference to the Yellow Pages. Yeah, I was in 2008. So I totally get that part.
I'm going to throw one in on technology too. It's 2007. I'm coming with the iPhone. Like I'm coming strong a couple years early. That's if I'm picking one thing to run a moving company, the having the kid. I don't know how people did it without the computer in your pocket.
For sure. I think, well, BlackBerry was still strong as well too out there.
Come on, that's Canada.
Still a thing. Still a thing.
It really wasn't a computer in a pocket though. I know what you're trying to do there. It's a great company. It was a great company for a little while.
When you look now at fast forwarding, okay, so let's speed it up to 2017, 10 years into the business. What were the top 3 things that you had learned at that point that were really highly effective in your growth?
Being found on the second page of Google is literally like having a billboard in the middle of the desert. Your mama ain't gonna see it. No one's gonna see it. You're on the second page of Google, no one's gonna call, no one's gonna book. Here is the deal. If your business is not ranking on the top of Google, that means your competitors are going to be stealing your customers every single day. So at Rotate Digital, we don't play any guessing games. We use data-driven SEO strategies to make sure Google finds you first so that these Google searches turn into your customers, not your competitors' customers. How do we do it? We do it through AI-driven keyword optimization, exclusive blog networks, backlinking strategies, and honestly, the secret stuff, the proprietary lead attribution software. So what do you get as a result? You get not only good marketing, but now you get clarity into what is bringing you more revenue. So if that's something you want to do, you want to make sure your leads find you and not your competition, go ahead and go to rotatedigital.com, schedule a call, and we'll help you take your business to the top of Google.
Good question. I mean, we weren't
year 10
quite big in 2017. I mean, we were still 10 years in. I think, I don't know what my sales were, but still just around $500,000 plus or minus. I think I learned a little bit about SEO.
What's years when you stop solving problems and start building? Was it this year? When did you stop solving all the problems and start building lanes? Like to go from the guy on the truck or running around to go to the owner.
It was probably about then, it's about from 2017 to 2019, we made some big steps forward. That was when in 2018, I think I went to my first Lewis, and I hadn't really ever I had like one competitor back in College Station that I was friendly with, and I hadn't really networked and built that event.
You cowboy, you didn't know anybody out there.
Yeah. And I'm still friends with so many of those guys that I met back in 2018, 2019. And that's when meeting other people in the industry that were not my direct competitors and being able to just call people up and just say, hey, I can't figure this out. And they, we're not doing something that novel, right? And somebody else has already figured this out. You just got to know the person that has the answer and be able to call them up and ask. And then, like Steven mentioned at the beginning of this, implement, because so many people will get the answer and then not do shit with it. But yeah, I would say that's from about 2017, 2018, 2019. I moved in 2019 out of state. And so we were starting to grow and starting to really figure out the delegation and how to run as a real organization.
Yeah, you can't scale chaos, right? That's kind of, that sounds like the time where you said, I can't scale chaos. Like we gotta go off clarity. We gotta delegate inside, right? And that's kind of when it clicks for moving company owners. You gotta take that step. Oh, that's up. And it paid off for Zane. Zane, I threw out failed earlier, but gosh, no, you had an interesting story. You left your town that you started in. I wouldn't call that a failure. You got to the new city and said, you know what? I don't need that town anymore. I got a lot of opportunity over here and I like it. So it's pretty interesting how that came about.
Can you elaborate on that one?
Well, like he
No, no,
so
no.
he left, like, you know, the most story
Zane,
yeah.
Zane,
Zane, yeah.
Zane, can you please elaborate on that?
Oh, I was just talking about, I said earlier that you failed and I didn't get to follow up. You actually succeeded, right? By you left your town. You failed your original town, but you left it, and boy, did you make the right decision when you look back at going to Dallas and saying, I want to focus on this thing.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I think picking the right market.
Did you catch it that time?
I did, yeah. And I think picking the right market is so crucial too, because with so many people in these tiny markets, I don't think you need to be in a huge market. I know lots of people that are doing really well in 500,000 to 1,000,000 people towns, but I think less than that. Bryan College Station.
What up, Memphis?
I think Bryan College Station's was around 200,000 when I left there, and the biggest independent in that town had like 6 trucks. And I mean, you know, I would have been spinning my wheels, you know, to maybe get, you know, a small fraction of that. And, you know, yeah, being in a bigger market is always the way to go.
Yeah, I see that. I see that happen a lot. Now, when you, you know, one of the things I was, you know, breaking down of how to be effective on getting your business started, especially now in 2025, and things that you wish you had back in the day. You know, you mentioned something that and this happens, this I felt almost the same way where I was growing my business, it was getting there. And by that 20, you know, and I started in 2007, 2008, grew it up to 2015, 2016, and felt like I was hitting this roof where like the growth wasn't there. I was running myself ragged. I felt like I was constantly on the trucks, everything else. And one of the things, if everybody's listening, that Zane mentioned, is there was a shift that happened, and that shift is so readily available now to a lot of us in the industry and a lot of those that are listening. And I'm going to phrase Tony Robbins on this, which is get yourself a coach. Get yourself a coach. Do not hire your friend. Do not have your friend be your coach. Make sure that you are going out there and sourcing out who is there to help you. And there are so many opportunities now, from webinars to all the many conferences that are out, whether it's the moving time, it's at the podcast that we got here where it's just full of information as well too. You know, it's that, and you heard it. I mean, a switch goes off, the networking is there available. Zane is taking in what he's being taught and going, we got to make this better. So from there, so it's 2019, you know, 2018, you are now going to move state. You're at how many trucks, and what do you have?
Yeah, tell me your size. What's the org changes?
Yeah, so like
right?
who's in charge? What's in place for you to be comfortable going, hey, you know what? I can actually just work more remotely.
I think it's always a leap, right? But I had my office manager who was also doing sales back then, and I think we had one other full-time salesperson. So just like 2 salespeople. We had 1 full-time operations person, and I think we would have like a second that would do it in the summers, like kind of part-time. I think I just got to a point where I just always wanted to leave Texas and move to Colorado. And I think I'd had my last summer and I was ready to go. And so I was leaving. And I think that was actually really helpful to leave, because it exposed so many holes and we just had to fix them, you know, right away, without me being there. And I had a great team, obviously. I would say that's the biggest factor in me being able to go, was having a couple very key guys. But I think maybe we had
systems, right? You had some systems in place. You started doing the 5X follow-up and the 3-2-1 and getting those phones closed right at the time.
And actually, that's something I'm diving into deep right now, is what is the most effective follow-up, because I'm not sure that that's the way to do it anymore. But anyways, yeah, and very good systems and processes.
Yeah, you know, I was setting you up on that one. Yeah, you'd mentioned the other day about you were testing out some things there.
So, yep, me and Steven are in a big group chat with 20 movers, and so he gets to hear all my musings. And vague questions that I'm trying to figure out
same here.
answers to. So, but yeah,
and he'll get my random 10 messages on one Saturday a month.
So you were sitting around 8 trucks when you were leaving.
Yeah, we always stay pretty truck heavy though. Yeah, probably just about. But we were pretty quickly going to be adding like an ops and another sales guy to that. We were kind of at that breaking point where we were kind of needing some more help on those sides.
When you were talking about the different holes that you noticed, what were some of those holes that you heavily noticed right off the bat and had to fix? And how did you be effective in fixing that?
You know, when you're there, you don't realize how much you're picking up. So like when you're in the sales room, you're just immediately able to give feedback. I think, you know, holding people more accountable to the sales processes. Also, there's just little stuff like toll tags and picking up trucks from the mechanic and things that like I didn't realize that I was the only person that had logins for, and I was the only person that knew how to do stuff.
Yeah, all these little things. Yeah.
And so building out those processes in Google Drive, documenting them, and then teaching somebody to do it once and then teaching them where it's at so they can continue to do it after that. I think I was actually still doing mailers when I left. I was mailing from Colorado when I first moved because we were still early on in that. And so I was still kind of A/B testing it and I wanted to keep control of it. And then I had to figure out, okay, I've got to keep that in Dallas. This is silly that I'm, you know, mailing from a different state.
I think that's a great point. I think you either build the systems to support you, or like you did, you became the system, right? You were the system in everything. You didn't know about how everything goes in a system. This is a marketing system that you're doing on postcards, right? This is an operating system you're doing on your fuel logins. And you become the system, and eventually when you scale, you break that.
Right.
There's no way around it without the clarity.
Absolutely.
Do you find that, you know, having the right people, like how was your delegation at that point when you were like, okay, these are the cracks, these are what I have to do? You built the systems, you built it.
How much did you travel?
Were you traveling still a lot back and forth in the beginning?
Yeah, more. I was coming once a month, you know, like a 5-day work week once a month. So it was more back then.
End of the month, beginning of the month.
I don't know if I had it scheduled quite like that. I think I was just going as needed.
When it was needed.
What would you say is one of the biggest lessons that you learned by, I mean, other than realizing that you had to take a step back, but that you see a lot of other movers that you talk to or moving company owners that you talk to that constantly are doing the wrong thing, where you have done, you know, you've taken that shift and you just see this like constantly on a repeat?
I think just being the hub of their company. So many people, I mean, part of the reason we become entrepreneurs, I think, is because we like that. We like being the deal maker and the guy, the problem solver, and the guy that's wheeling and dealing and figuring out what guys going on what trucks and what guys can work together and what guys can't, and you know who can move a piano and who can't, all that stuff. And I think you got to just step back and now when new things come up that I haven't thought of.
So Zane, based on the new stuff that you see on a continuous basis, how would you expand on that?
Systematize it and then teach it to somebody else and hand off that responsibility. And that way I can free up my bandwidth to deal with future problems or inefficiencies.
What have you found are the simple programs that are out there that you can use? Like what are something that you're using, or what have you found that has been really instrumental in just making things nice and easy?
I know one.
Well, let him say. Let him
I
say
got
it.
one. I'll let you go, Zane, first.
I'm sorry.
ProMover University.
I didn't catch
Okay,
that.
well, we'll get into that one after.
Yeah.
What?
ProMover University.
The question to you, Zane, I think Zane's having a little bit of internet in and outs situation. So we're just trying to fill in that little gap while we're doing. But
I think let's just park it. Like just park it on the systems. Can't stress that enough what Zane was saying. Guys, he got off the truck. He shifted in gears. He started listening, and what he was listening to was systems. And when you listen to systems, you're bringing clarity to your organization. Everybody wants a system, right? My game tape review is nothing but an audit system. The farm league, that's nothing but a recruiting and roster maintenance, right? Your dispatch launch in the morning, that's a system. You have to systematize, trail yourself. Hell, you can record yourself pretty easily on Loom and put yourself in a system, because clarity is how you expand. And just wanted to share that while Zane got his connection going on.
Zane, one of the questions that kind of got cut off was, on top of, while you're putting these systems in place, were there any special programs that you found that was quite easy? I know Steven mentioned Loom, Google Drive. Like, what was the catalyst to making your life easier as you're building these systems out?
We're pretty basic. It's all pretty much in Google Drive for us.
Oh, I like that. So
yeah, it just documents. And
do you use Google Classroom? Have you expanded there, Zane, to Google Classroom at all?
No, I mean, we have a few internal docs and things, spreadsheets, working spreadsheets and stuff like that, particularly on the ops side. But as far as processes, it's just every position in my company has a manual. I highly suggest to everyone, especially now with AI, it's so easy to create documents and edit them to how you need them. Once you start getting things written down, and you can, when somebody's not doing what they're supposed to, you can take them back to that and say, here's what you need to do. So just Google Docs.
Great. Well, which I find easy.
So 8 trucks. I'm gonna go back if you don't mind. 8 trucks, right? 2018.
Yeah.
You move away. I meet you 2019. You're still a student of the game. You are studying systems. You're there to talk about systems. You fast forward, how did the COVID boom go for you?
Great. Obviously,
where did you expand to with the boom?
We jumped up pretty quick. So when I say we had 8 trucks, I mean, I can't remember our revenue, but we were probably more like a 5-6 truck company then. I just like to stay truck heavy. I hate renting. So I think our revenue is still just under $1 million when I moved away. But COVID was great. Yeah, I mean, we boomed. I went back to Dallas. I was living there full time for a couple months while we figured that out. Obviously, there was a lot to figure out during the COVID times, but other than a couple bad months, yeah, we took off pretty much and didn't stop, growing super fast until I think it was July of 23. The interest rates shot up, things started to slow down. Our revenue was flat from 23 to 24. Still good, but we made a bunch of bets. I think in 2023, I had 16 trucks. I was coming in hot that summer, ready to grow, and pump the brakes. And I think I sold 4 trucks that summer. And that's, again, that's kind of how I like to operate. I like to stay, even though we're a 15 truck company now, we're not running that many trucks. I would much rather sell trucks in the summer than be a buyer in the summer and renting. So
when did you put that big beautiful brand on it? What year was that you started doing that yellow?
Pretty recently, probably 2023-ish or so. So we haven't been branded like that. We used to just have a big logo and name on the side, just cut vinyl. But yeah, we finally committed to that, and it's not like a game changer, but I think it brings in a couple percent of our revenue, and it's definitely, I mean, anybody I know is like, I see your trucks everywhere.
It's professional. I mean, the brand is
awesome. Fantastic, and I completely agree with, we're going through a rebrand as well too. We've done 2 trucks and out of the fleet of 24, so it's a slow process, but for us, it's more of, people notice it. They're like, wow, because it's not just a white truck with a couple decals on there and a logo. It's like a full wrap. And when you have that full wrap, when you have that look, people notice it.
Zane, he's talking about decals.
Talking about the decals.
I gotta
translate. Say like a sticker on your truck. Back to Zane though. So this doesn't turn into like a 2-hour episode. One of the big things that you said on the show is that once, especially as you were moving away and relocating over to Colorado, you wanted to make sure that you had things in place, and if you were training someone, you would make sure that it is down so that it didn't have to be repeated, so that you're not repeating yourself. And it's always that, if you have to do something twice, you might as well write it down and create it into an SOP so you can train it. That gave you the catalyst to, I'm assuming, start ProMover University, where you actually have a full training program, something that you're putting together for your team where other moving companies can grow. And I think even when yours came out several years ago, there was nothing new. There was nothing fresh out there, other than the VHS tapes or the DVDs that you were getting from, some type of van line or some type of association. And, you got the ATA or the CAM going, okay, guys, like, here's your training video. And here it is. And it's like, two guys that look like they're from 1986.
Yeah.
Now, and your program is fantastic.
We're wearing the 86 Movified gear.
That's right.
This episode, we're wearing the retro.
The actual program itself is fantastic. I've taken a look at it.
do.
You have a lot of great videos. It's not, and I'm going to be honest with everybody. It's not like you're thinking, wow, okay, it's like this like 4K Netflix crazy setup. It is nice and like, to me, it's simple in a way that it's like, great. You know what? Like, I have a new crew, a new driver. He needs to know how to back up a truck. I'm going to show him this video. They need to learn how to wrap this furniture. Here's the videos. It's a nice system for a moving company that goes, great. I'm not spending a lot of money on like, I don't have to spend an exuberant amount of money on having this program. It's a very cost effective, and you can go into pricing and what's happening and how you're growing it in a second. But I just kind of want to give, this shout out to it because everything is there. It's a great program where everything is there that you need to effectively have a solid training program and run your business. Would I not say that in a nutshell?
Yeah,
Right?
thank you. That was better than I could plug it. Yeah, the way it started was exactly like you're saying, systems and processes. I've had a freelance marketing guy that's been helping me for years. And I was like, hey, we should film our mover training so that we have it documented so that we can put it into Google Drive. And if, for whatever reason, we had a couple of ops managers leave and we're not, dead in the water. And after we filmed it, I was watching and I turned to him. I was like, man, I think we could sell this. And he was like, you think there's a market for this? I was like, I don't know. Let's see. So, we put it up. And so it started out just as like 20 mover training videos, but it is our new mover training at Wildcat Movers. So it's short, it's sweet, but it'll get your guys from nothing to on the trucks and contributing on day one. So I think in that sense, it's a very good jump start for movers to see and to see how it's done professionally. I've had moving company owners call me and say, hey, me and my ops guy, we just started this company and we didn't know how to wrap furniture. And so we were learning so that now we could teach.
Man, a lot of people buy moving companies, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people that buy moving companies and have
Oh,
no
it's
clue
crazy.
about it.
Now, Zane, how much is the monthly program for the ProMover University?
Right now it's $98 a month. We're gonna keep adding content.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think
Wow.
in the future
That's really $98 a month. That's it.
that's it, $98 a month, as much as a coffee every day.
You're adding modules. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was surprised to hear that. That's really affordable on training programs for moving. Where do we go? Sorry, I'm excited now. I write on my pad. I just wrote down $98.
Look, for all those that are listening, ProMover University, it's $98 a month. It's a fantastic program. I would do myself a disservice if I said, if you're looking for a larger enhancement, a larger corporation of training, definitely also do a demo with Tighten Up Training, because Tighten Up Training has the back end of a great and solid sales objection courses on there. They have a lot of helpful for marketing material, fitness, everything on there. They also have training on the courses and everything else. They are that Netflix 4K grade quality as well too, but it is a more expensive price point. So, depending on how large your organization is and everything else, you have to look at, I always try to recommend more than one. I don't like the monopoly of only go with one company, because I feel like we as owners need to at least demo the products and make it work for us. For a lot of guys, honestly, go check out ProMover University. It's a fantastic program. The price point, like Steven's excited about, like a fanboy, at $98 a month, you're really not losing. You're not losing sleep to have the program, and to have this playing on a Thursday morning, or if you typically do training on like a Sunday afternoon, or however that looks like in your organization. It's fantastic. Like, great, set it up, put it in the warehouse, get the guys to do some testing on it. It's that straightforward.
What are the modules?
Yeah, can you go break down a little bit of what you offer in that program? Because now I feel like it's turning into a plug. So we'll give you the plug, Zane. We're gonna give it to you. So give us the breakdown of this.
This helps out a lot of people. A whole lot of people.
We recently hired Ready Rolls to help us with hiring some offshore help, some VAs, and they've done an amazing job. They found the perfect candidate for our company. Not only that, they helped answer the questions that we had about the process. Initially, hiring a VA can be a bit intimidating, but they answered all the questions. It's been an amazing experience. Our VA has been a huge part of our success thus far. We're actually in the process of hiring a few more right now. Definitely see them as being a key part of our growth and reaching our goals in 2025.
And the game changer for our company, I'm confident to be a game changer.
Visit ReadyRolls.com. There is now a better way to scale.
We've got a mover training program. We have a driver training program, which is really neat. We filmed our ops manager. We've got our driver training checklist in there. So when you're doing driver training, you can check off. It's exactly the documents we use at Wildcat. There's a new mover training guide and checklist as well. We've got our mover manual in there. I think our marketing module is my kind of pride and joy now. So I kind of break down all of our major marketing sources and exactly how I've done them. Starting with SEO and GBP, I've got a module on each of those. I've got a repeat referral module talking about branding and email marketing. And then I've got a direct mail module. And those are, in that order, our biggest marketing sources. And so, I didn't do I know a lot of people like PPC and LSA, and, there's a bunch of other marketing channels out there, but I'm not an expert on those. So I created modules for what I'm an expert on. And then we've got a finance module.
But don't be surprised, because I've had several conversations with Zane where he's not an expert, and the next year he has studied it, created a system, and is killing in it. So don't be surprised if you hear that here and then sign in a year from now and there's a new module about LSA.
Yeah, and so I've got a finance module where I break down an actual P&L of Wildcat Movers, show our real numbers, kind of give some guidance on what each expense should be as a percentage of revenue. And then just some pricing stuff. We have a pricing spreadsheet where you can kind of put in your expenses and it'll kind of spit out what my suggested pricing would be. I kind of explain how to use that. Yeah, there's a few other small things that I'm drawing a blank on. And what we're working on now is a sales module. And yeah, so that'll be coming out here in the next few months.
Love it. Where do they go to try and do a demo or like speak to someone about it?
Well, we're not quite at that level. It's pretty much just me. So go to check out ProMoverUniversity.com. We've got some samples in there. And I mean, it's $98 a month, no contracts, month to month. I promise you can get $98 in value out of it. If you don't like it, just cancel. But most people are pretty sticky with the program because they're using it to train their movers and drivers. They didn't have anything before, and they really like that. And then the other stuff's kind of a bonus for me helping you grow your business.
Sure. No, that's fantastic.
How many trucks you got right now?
We have
Zane?
15.
You got 15. I thought I heard that. So you got 15, and you had 8 in 2018, maybe 8 in 2019.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And you shot up, right? You shot up. You've learned to shut down a branch. You've learned to grow a new branch in a city where you know nobody. right? You've then taken yourself and said, I'm going to build systems and move myself to the mountains and run this damn company from the mountains, which is very impressive to me. In my eyes, you've studied everything that you could to help your business and be that nomad mover, continuing to pump systems in, right? And you brought that to the industry. And so, like, for $98, I didn't know the price, guys. That's what I kind of wanted to break down. That's why I'm saying, wow, at $98, you're getting 18 years, if I'm not mistaken, in the math there. 18 years of raw. I started from nothing and I learned everything this way for $98 a month. And that's pretty cool. And I give you a Movified Wednesday award on that one because that's game changing for our industry. So thank you, Zane, for that. I gotta say that's pretty cool. What's your org look like now? I got one more before Mark signs us off. He may have another too, though.
Yeah, so I've got an office manager, Daniel, who's been with me for 11 years. He has an assistant office manager. They do all of our hiring and recruiting, payroll, HR, and then they'll dabble in sales as needed. They're kind of the Swiss Army knives of the company. I've got a sales manager.
Yeah, those poor admins, right? Is the assistant in house?
Yep. And then
so on the ground they can step in anywhere. That's kind of like you're the second net, but you got two admins on the ground to be there in your place if something goes down.
Yeah, and the reason we hired that admin was or the assistant was because anytime Daniel needed to take a vacation, I was having to fly to Dallas and work for a week or two. And
yeah. Fill the gap, right? Where's the system that can fill this gap? How can we do that? What do you got on the sales front now?
We have a sales manager, and we have we're a little.
Same guy, if I'm not mistaken, right? 18-year relationship. I think you said is Daniel.
That's the
earlier.
office manager. 11 years.
That's a long time. That's pretty cool.
It's really special. I really appreciate that guy. He's definitely been with me through thick and thin. He's seen the best and the worst of me and the company. So I appreciate him.
So Daniel, Zane's offering you free of charge a Wildcat tattoo on your chest. Because you're living the brand and you deserve it.
I love it.
So who do you got under him? Sorry. Who you got under your sales manager?
Yeah, we've got, I think we've been in a little flux there. That's actually my biggest challenge. That's where I'm living right now is in the sales department. And so we've got 3 full-time people right now, and we're looking to add one more. So be 4 move coordinators and a sales manager. And then I've got
so you might as well make some modules while you're learning this to do, while you're learning from your past sides and your keep going. It's pretty cool.
And
really living, growing the modules.
Yep. And I'm really diving into trying to get some analytics out of smart moving to I think there's a better follow-up process than what we're currently doing. We're doing and look, I love Lewis and I love his sales processes, but we've been doing the 3-2-1 or 2-2-1 follow-up on leads and the 5X follow-up on estimates.
So is everybody else.
Exactly. And looking at data and trying to get that data out of smart moving, I think that there's a more efficient follow-up, and I'm not sure quite what that is, but once I figure it out, I'll definitely make a module about that because I want to do something that's different from what he's done. And look, again, Lewis's follow-up process is amazing. It changed the completely the way we do sales, so it's definitely way better than what we were doing, but hopefully we can figure out a more efficient process. And I think as things are changing with AI assistants, people are going more towards filling out contact forms than calling in. People are preferring text and email much more than phone calls. As I've been helping my sales team, I'm starting to realize like the way we communicate with customers is changing very rapidly right now. And I think figuring out how to communicate with customers, especially in a more digital channels, particularly through text, is we're finding a lot of that to be very effective communicating through text message.
But anyways, then we have, this is what you're getting. This is what you're getting on these modules is this is what I meant by earlier. Zane was texting the group about this, and you know how deep dive it is. So I don't have to look at it at all. Zane's going to update us. I'm going to ask him later how the survey go and trustingly change my process. So you're getting this deep dive in a student of the game at ProMover
Well,
University.
and I had a
That's pretty
conversation
neat.
with someone last night where, the reality is while we're sitting here, in a podcast, while you're sitting in a meeting, there are business professionals that you have to remember are many of your leads that are coming in. There are maybe someone that's in school, in work, they can't answer, but many are wearing probably an iPhone watch, right? Or they're wearing like an iWatch, sorry, a smartwatch. They're looking at their phone. They have the opportunity to see a text, but not listen to a voicemail or not answer the phone. So a lot of those follow-ups need to be quick, efficient text messages and, and consistent as well too. It's not, hey, have you seen, like, it's just a quick follow-up. It's a follow-up and then maybe in 2 hours, another follow-up as well too, to see if they received the text. I think is key. Zane, one of the big things that, I wanted to touch base with you on and get your thoughts on is sustainable growth. I find that when I listen to you through this podcast, and we've had people on the air where they've just been explosive for them. I started in 2018, 2020. I grew. It's been explosive. It's been great. But a lot of the times, and you can work out the numbers, and you even mentioned it too, you can be at 500 or 1 million and still have a good income coming in if you are, very strict with your budgets and your cash flow and how you're operating your dollars and cents. Because at the end of the day, whatever you're netting there, you could be netting at doing 20 million, right? So, it's like apples to oranges, but it's really apples to apples when you're looking at those numbers. It's just way more headache, way more overhead. Yeah, what were you saying? And the reverse, revenue is vanity. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and profit is sanity, right? And I think
that's right.
There is kind of this social media thing where it's like we want to grow and talk about sales all the time, and what really matters, like profit and being able to have free cash flow that you actually put in your bank account that you get to enjoy your life with. And I think that gets lost a lot. Like some people, yeah, I mean, when I was doing $400,000 or $500,000, I loved my life. I had great margins and I was traveling and it was awesome. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think there's always this like, I gotta be
yeah.
You had long, beautiful hair. You're just sitting in the world. You don't have to have a 5 or 10 or $20 million company.
You caught that.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think you said it great. It's like, there's a lot of joy in running a small moving company, and you don't have to just explode and grow. And there's a lot of
There's money under your nose.
Yeah, and learn to be profitable when you're small, because it doesn't get easier. And everyone thinks that growing and scaling and multi-million-dollar sales is what it makes you profitable. If you're not profitable where you're at now, then don't even grow. Like, there's no point. Like, just get profitable and then scale up.
Because so many times we push off the finances. That's what, like, I think we watch this back. You'll see how my eyes light up when you said financials, because this industry needs it. We avoid it like the plague. A lot of us started just like our stories, and 3 of us, with nothing, and got it and said, I'm not going to give up on this thing. And once you figure out the finance, the game changes, right? And that's what Zane triggered in there is really find out how to make the dollar, find out where your expenses are going, get out of the business, get out of your truck, right? If you're still the one jumping in, everything's a fire. That's your wake-up call. Zane just gave it on Movified. You can't scale, you're stuck. You got to build yourself out. We got a little delay this time.
I appreciate that, Zane, and that's why I really want to touch on that sustainable growth, because a lot of us as moving company owners, we sometimes feel like we're in this rut, in this struggle to grow, and we're not sitting there analyzing our numbers and seeing where we can pinch here and pinch a little bit there and actually make some money being a $500,000 company or a $1 million company. And we think, whoa, we got to get more trucks. We got to get that. And like, look what happened to you, right? You think, wow, 2022 was such a great year. Hey, guess what? We've lined up for 3-4 more trucks, and then things go sideways. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh, great. Well, here you go. I'll take these trucks back again. And it's because sometimes you just and I'm like you, I will run a fleet of 24 trucks, but I like to keep 4 back. Like, I don't sometimes like to overbook that, because the last thing I want to do is have to rent more trucks. We have the capability, but at times you don't need to have those many trucks. Sometimes, well, I like them all running, but I like the concept of that sustainable growth. Oh, we all love organized chaos, but I kind of want to also, as we end off this segment, is before Zane kind of hit on the head, and I kind of want to bring it on here. When you think of the word profit, don't always put a dollar value to that. Profit is the opportunity to buy back your time and not have to be on the trucks working every day. You might not be living in a grandoso house and everything else, but guess what? You were able to take off that weekend. You weren't going in the shop on a Saturday to have to clean a truck or jump on a truck. You actually took your family away for the weekend and said, hey, listen, we're going to go camping, or we're going to go on a trip, or I'm just going to spend time with my wife or my kids or my spouse. That to me is profit also in itself at a different definition. And that's where you need to, and that's where you go. And Zane lives that day to day. His sustainable growth has allowed him to profit financially, but also profit in life as well too, where he has bought back his time. He can work remotely. He can take a step back. He can take kids to school. He has that opportunity, and you need to have systems in place. You need to have a proper system, proper people, have the tracking in place, have and track. And one thing that Zane brought in here, because I'm giving all the points now at the end, is to keep track of your website. Get SEMrush, go look at it. If you don't know what we're talking about, reach out to us and find out. Clearly, Zane is an open book. We'll throw his number on here so you guys can just bombard him with text messages. But we'll want to make sure that he's in the mountains, so he's got really horrible reception. So don't text him. But there's readily available people here to help you. We want to help you, so just reach out. Zane, this has been a pleasure. I always really appreciate having these Movified Wednesdays. I think the clicker said 63 times, Stephen, you interrupted everybody. So 63. So next Wednesday, well, let's aim for a little bit more, okay?
You just give them no air. You're like on it. There's no air in there. We got to work on the air.
There's no air in this room.
Tell me how am I supposed to breathe with no
That's
air?
right. There's no air in this room right now. I'm just sweating.
The lighting's a little gloom over there. I gotta say it on here.
Yeah, that's right. Lighting's all shared on you. Zane, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today on Movified.
Looking at bright.
And I wish, and it's for all those that are watching, when Zane's logged in right at the beginning, his backdrop wasn't like, I wish you could just walk over and try to show it. It looked like something that was your background filters that you can get.
Can you?
It is unbelievable. It's so beautiful. It was a mountain-esque background of mountains with the trees, the forest. I thought he was part of the Yellowstone Ranch momentarily here, because it just looked so picturesque.
Yogi Bear.
But it's beautiful. So he's living the life. Zane, thank you so much.
Hey, boo-boo. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. And for all those that are listening, stay Movified, and until next time.